Hello, everybody. This is Chine Magic Podcast. Super excited to have another episode. And man, this week we have. I am excited for the guest that we have today. This is one of those folks who, in my view, proves what I believe is possible and what we have in terms of talent and capabilities and just folks who can execute. So I have Eric Muli, right?
Yep.
Founder and CEO at Odyssey Capital.
Mm-hmm.
So how you doing, and how are things?
Doing well as a startup founder can be.
Uh-huh.
So, but I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
No, yeah, man, it's been a long time coming, obviously.
Yeah.
We met. When did we meet?
We met in Kigali.
We met in Kigali.
Yeah, at the conference.
That's right.
Yeah.
At the Africa Tech Summit.
Yeah.
In Kigali. That was 2018, I think.
Was it?
It was 2018.
Yeah, it's somewhere there.
Yeah.
I want to count 2 years. So maybe around that time.
Around that time.
February.
Yeah. Yeah. And how have things been since then? I mean, I guess the way we structure our podcast is very much a narrative-driven style thing. But tell us what you do at a high level, what Odyssey Capital is, and then we'll kind of just kind of get into it.
Well, so Odyssey Capital is first of all, that's a holding company. So many people may not know that name.
Exactly.
So like our main product is LipaLater. So LipaLater were essentially a payment option. We let consumers purchase items in monthly installments. Mm-hmm. That's essentially what we do. So we work. Our mission here is to finance everything from our phone to our home. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we play in that market. So we enable retail and we enable purchases. Mm-hmm. So that's essentially what we do. We're currently in Kenya and Rwanda, exploring new markets heavily now as well. Mm-hmm. Different product segments.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, from bread to a home. Is that kind of the breadth of where you guys want to operate?
I wouldn't say from bread. Bread is dangerous.
Bread is dangerous.
I would say from a phone to a home.
Phone to a home. Something at least north of
X amount.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anything north of 5,000 is something that we would play in.
You play.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when did you get started? Just to kind of get us a sense of when you launched the company. How long has it been, and what's the timeline?
Launching the company, when people ask me that question, I always try and explain before we actually launched, because our launch time is 2016. We did launch towards the end of 2016 is when we, I guess, could say we started generating revenue.
Okay.
Right. But before that, the business had been, I'd been conceptualizing it, on the ground in different stores, trying to get this thing up and running.
Got it.
That was without any formalities, just sort of drawing things on paper and talking to people. So that was in 2015. So honestly, I was in mid 2015.
Okay.
I just finished university, so somewhere around then. But we actually started in 2016, around August, August 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So I say we're about 3 years old now.
3 years in.
Yeah, 3 years into the business. It's been a very tough but thrilling 3 years. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's how long it's been.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about the nuances of how you got started, because I think that there's lessons to be gained from that process.
Okay.
But let's dive into it. So your background, where'd you go to school, high school, university?
Yeah.
What was your trajectory pre LipaLater? I would rather call it LipaLater than Odyssey Capital.
Let's do that.
Brand.
Yeah, let's do that then. Yeah. My trajectory. So I'm Kenyan, fully Kenyan. I went to St. Mary's for primary school.
It's interesting, man. You obviously know Eric Timber.
Yeah.
I think he's a Saints guy also.
Is he?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I think he is, man. I think he is.
Yeah.
But let's wait for him to confirm that.
He's actually been on the podcast, so I'm going to say he's a Saints guy, because I remember thinking that and I'm like, okay, you guys are kind of...
But then I went to Strathmore, so let me
okay,
finish
all right. So Saints for
primary school.
Okay, got it.
Then I went to Strathmore for high school.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did Saints until class 8, Strath until form 4.
Okay.
As well. So,
which are kind of the same, two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, but that's a very controversial statement. I'll stay out of this. But then after that, so I was here. I mean, I finished form 4. Hung around Nairobi for some time. Then I went to school in the States. I went to Babson College.
Okay.
Babson College, it's an entrepreneurship school, small entrepreneurship school in the States.
Which
It's
state
in,
or which city?
it's in Boston. So
Babson, okay.
yeah,
It's an entrepreneurship college? Is that how they
yeah,
define
pretty much.
themselves?
It's a business school, so they only have business courses.
Okay.
It's actually the number one ranked entrepreneurship school in the world for the last 30 years.
Based on what?
I guess the type of entrepreneurs, the curriculum.
What are they birthing entrepreneurs who are creating things like yourself? Right?
Yeah, a lot. Like that's what they thrive in. The curriculum is entrepreneurship driven. Our professors are massive entrepreneurs.
Oh.
People who've invented big things. Home Depot guys. Stuff like that.
Wow.
A lot of them. A lot of their kids. So Babson started as a college for family businesses around the world.
Okay.
And then it was a 2-year course. I think it started in 1919. It was a 2-year program, so wealthy family businesses would just send their kids there for 2 years and they come back and take over the business.
Right.
Then with time it matured into an actual university. So it moved from a 2-year program to 4-year, and then now they actually opened it up to regular people.
Regular people. So you could go there.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, so the heart of the school, the spirit of the school is entrepreneurship.
Awesome.
Because remember, these are people running businesses that started it.
Right. Right.
So then now, and it was very international based. So I think the population is still 40% international.
Wow.
Maybe negative Africans,
Right.
but many Europeans and South Americans.
So dope as network.
Very dope. So a lot of there's still very massive family businesses who send like Toyota, Samsung.
Wow.
Those guys still send their kids there.
Damn.
Okay. And then they have the rest of the population,
right?
Which is us guys
to fill in the rest.
Coming with our entrepreneurial mindsets, and it's a very good environment. So that was my uni, 4 years. I finished on time. Then I came back.
Why do you add the on time part?
No, that's very critical.
Finished on time.
On time.
Don't get it twisted.
That's a big one. Finished on time.
Was there a risk of not finishing on time?
There's always a risk.
There's always a risk.
We had because I was running a business in school. We had a one serious business. Serious at the time.
But it's a party business? No.
So the second one was interesting. So the first one, what we started was, we used to call it beaver delivery. So our mascot is a beaver. Okay. So what we did is our dining hall used to close at 10 p.m. Okay. Right? But 10 p.m. they were college kids.
College kids, man, that's early.
10 p.m. So what me and my boy, we used to work at Dunkin' Donuts. Okay. So Dunkin' used to give us donuts.
The throwaways?
Exactly.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so
excess capacity.
all that stuff. So we used to take all of that. Then we started making sandwiches in our dorm room.
With donuts?
With donuts, no. Donuts was part of the offering.
That would have been a dope discovery, man.
Was a donut sandwich. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't do that.
Maybe there's something there, man. Shit. Yeah. Okay. Maybe somebody can run with that idea.
Interesting. Yeah, but also we used to make sandwiches. We'd buy the material or everything. Just go to Costco, buy a bunch of stuff in bulk. Yeah. Make the sandwiches. And then I remember we just put flyers on everybody's door. And then guys would just call us. Or I need a P&J sandwich.
A P&J sandwich.
I need what used to sell? Capri Suns. You just sell a Capri Suns. Then during exams we had energy drinks, the monsters that we would sell at a markup and stuff, because there was no Uber Eats, of course. Right. At that point.
But you couldn't order. Can you order?
Ordering one monster was very hard.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. One.
So you guys were not the last mile, you were the last meter.
Last meter, exactly. We would
10
walk,
meters.
and keep our kitchen was our bed, literally our dorm room.
Wow. Right? And who was your co-founder?
It's called Daquan. Actually, he's running a very good business now. He runs a non-profit called We Thrive in the States.
Okay. Awesome.
So that was my college life. So now I'm saying that type of stuff would distract you from studying.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because you get excited.
You get excited. And you're making probably nothing when you do the math.
But you think you're
making a lot of money.
Plus on college level, man, you're okay.
Yeah,
you're liquid.
Some liquidity in your pockets. Yeah.
Awesome.
And so at the end of that, I came back.
Okay. So entrepreneurship was in your DNA from the jump. I mean, you picked Babs on purpose, I imagine. It wasn't an accident.
It wasn't an accident. I never really wanted to go to school after high school. I think it was more so the options just seemed very
narrow. In terms of how to define that,
like remember I went to Strath, so half the classes are engineers. Like
Okay.
I remember like in Strath in my year, like the last guy in math had like a B plus. Like he just used to get A's. Like physics, we were drilled into like high performance,
Right.
engineering, med, that type of stuff.
So very tracked career path.
Exactly, very tracked, and mind you, I think we had very open minds from school.
Yeah.
But all the options that were appearing in front of me were all go be an engineer, go be a computer scientist.
And you didn't see yourself.
And I couldn't do it, man.
Yeah.
So now I happened to stumble upon this institution, and it just made a lot of sense. So yeah, so it ended up being intentional, but it's not like when I was in high school. I knew about it.
You didn't know about
it. I didn't know about this. Yeah. It just happened to pop up.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So. It's interesting how the universe does that, man.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's like a signal and finding its dial, right? Maybe.
Yeah. Because where did you go to school?
So I went to Story.
Yeah. So you probably had the same kind of like educational stuff.
Yeah. And then Saints actually for IB.
Okay. Okay.
So I kind of seen both worlds, right? Yeah, that was my.
Then you went to.
Then I went to the US. Got a sports scholarship and went to school in West Virginia. Okay. Not a famous university, but they gave me a full ride. So I was like, I'm gonna be all about this. But yeah, that was my trajectory.
Okay.
So Babson sounds like a great experience, man.
Yeah.
Big network, entrepreneurship experience.
Yeah.
A dog. Last meter, and then now what was
the switch?
Did you come back right away? What was the?
Yeah, pretty much. Like we had I'd gotten a job at Unilever, after school, but during they gave us this what is it called, like a management training program. So we got they would bring us there first before you have a month before you accept your contract.
Right.
So I went down to New York for that. Actually, I was actually staying in Philly. I was staying in Philly with my sister.
Right.
And that just didn't look like a plan.
Unilever, man. Dude.
Yeah, it did look like a plan. So I came back right after that. So I want to say if we finished in May, I came back in July.
Okay.
Yeah, I was back in Nairobi.
Wow, you just made the decision. And you're like, I'm out of here. This is not working.
Nothing much. And then so I came back.
And which year is this?
This is 2014.
Okay.
This is 2014. So at that point now, I started a security business. I started it before, but it was just like a side hustle, like watches, like at gates and stuff. So at the time, that kept me busy for some time.
So you didn't want to get a job, or did you have a job? How did you?
The security business was making me enough money for a 22-year-old.
Okay.
Right.
But that's a very ambitious. Well, first of all, it's a very. There's big players in that space, right? Established brands.
Massive ones.
Right? So a 22-year-old thinking, I'm going to do this. What was the connection that made you believe I can make a crack at this, or at least maybe try this?
It's just very small things that fall into place. Because what I realized very quickly is even at my parents' place, the estate, there were just no guards, right? There was and nobody wanted to pay the fees that the radars and BMs are paying, nobody wants to pay that, at least those guys, right? Mm-hmm. So
what are these? Give me a sense of the fees.
So you'll pay 40K, 35 to 40K per guard per month.
Per guard per month.
Yeah.
Okay.
So while there's a very big market, what I ended up realizing was a very big market for people who want to pay between 15K and 20K. Per guard per month,
because that's what even the guard really makes.
Exactly. So you make a small margin, because even if you're paying 50K and the guard will probably be paying 15K, we pay 15K or something like that.
Right.
So there's a lot of issues with that business, that industry as a whole, because of I think people are underpaid severely. Yeah, but regardless of that, I felt that there was a massive opportunity. Massive is a big word, actually. There was an opportunity. Right. And for me, it was not about, I was not chasing a big dream. Nothing.
You're just let me start something.
Exactly. So it was just look, there's an opportunity here. I remember we used to, me and my boy, we used to walk down, he's actually my business partner now. We used to walk around Kilimani to different estates that didn't have guards. I just give them a profile, stuff like that. They're okay, fine. And we ended up at one point having about 100 guards.
Damn, dude, you're
At one point,
you're a starter, man.
Yeah.
Like you believe in this flyer game, which is amazing.
And it was,
man. It's
like,
amazing.
You talk to the manager, you talk to and at one point you had about 100 guards. This is like, and that used to keep us. And then remember, it's like you don't need much thinking, right?
No. Pay me, I'll pay these guys.
Exactly.
No
and once you
cooking.
figure out the ops, you realize, okay, this guard's in 1 day off. This guy needs to go and leave for this amount of time. You will figure out that once that's done, like so it was like, so I had so much free time.
Wow.
Like dangerously, I had so much free time.
Right.
Because now you're 22. You have a little money in your pocket. You have a business that doesn't require much thinking. The only stress you have is collecting payments from your tenant and your clients.
Right.
That was it. So I in between that period now, that's what I was doing basically. Between now, I want to say, as soon as I came back from school, and then to up until like when, LipaLater really started picking up, like, because I stopped really pay. I took myself out of that business around the end of 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so LipaLater became, so you're doing this guard thing, you have a lot of time on your hands, then the light bulb goes off. What are the
triggers
connections to LipaLater, the triggers for LipaLater?
The triggers were like a bunch of things. So like I started just giving loans to our guards.
Okay.
Right. That's where we started.
Interesting.
We started giving loans to our guards.
Yeah.
And I actually remember insisting that one of the ops measures was that every guard must have a phone.
Okay.
Yeah, and just no guard had a phone.
None of the 100 people.
No, they had.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's an exaggeration, but like
It was
such
problem.
a difficult thing to enforce. Like it's for everybody to have a phone. You can imagine like that how crazy that is.
Right.
So like you're like, where is it? The guy doesn't have a phone. You can't reach him. So we started now lending for the phones.
Oh, okay. So you were solving a problem that was inherent in your
in that business at the time, and that's where it started actually. So that was now what triggered it.
Okay.
And of course, just like being in school, when I was in school, we all had contract phones, right?
Yeah.
So you just pay monthly, you get your phone, pay a deposit, and you get your phone, and you pay over the 2-year life of the contract.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even imagine trying to afford an iPhone.
Yes.
In uni.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Right.
So, to be honest, like it just lit up the light bulbs.
Okay.
And then that's what kicked it off. So I remember like our first partner was a store downtown, which was a Samsung store. It just so happened that we got lucky that guy just happened to be one of the biggest Samsung dealers in the region.
So how did you find that?
I just walked on the streets and went into his shop. Like I just met him. Like that's how, and he happened to be sitting in his shop.
You're like,
right?
really?
And then we spoke, and he's like, as long as this doesn't cost me money, you're telling me you'll pay me up front, and then it's like, of course.
So what was the deal? I mean, what?
It's pretty much what LipaLater is now. What I was offering him without any real thinking. It was just like, we want to give loans for phones, right? That's actually what we called it, loans for phones. And we don't want to give the cash to our customers because they won't buy the phones.
Right.
So we want to pay you directly.
Got it.
And then you give it out. So that's what I'm saying is like, when you get paid, I'm like, we'll pay you up front.
He's like,
what
were you talking about?
It's like, okay, then let's do it.
When do you start?
So we used to go there every day. We just used to go there. We never had money. And that was the issue. So we were just like, any money like I would get from Alpha Force, I would just lend it back out, right, without any.
So it was a liquidity crunch for your business, right?
Yeah, that's advanced language for like we never had.
You had no money.
We had no money.
We had zero.
Yeah, it was just like we had at some point we started like writing out loan forms. I just remember going on Google and typing out loan application form, right? Then the form that comes, that's what I used. I Kenyanized it, by removing. A zip and all that nonsense. And then that's what I used to give guys fill this out. Then I did some research. I found out guys asking for bank statements. Like, even me, I want your bank statements.
Wow. Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's how we started it. And then that was actually the beginning. So then now my partner came also. He had a job at the time. And he was in law school, I believe. Because he's crazy. So he did finance and law at the same time, and then somehow passed his KSL on the first take, and we were hustling like this. Anyway, so he also came in. He was working at the time, so he had money, at least some salary. He was living at home, so he didn't have much like
overhead.
Yeah, so, he just we were just using our money. So I'm using my money from Alphafos. He's using his money from his salary, and then that's what we were lending. That's what we're doing. We're just lending that, and then I remember he had to. I don't know how he didn't even study for those exams. But anyway, so he eventually finished, and then he just started doing it full time. So I would say the real trigger like that caused everything to like for me to even stop working on my other side hustle, call it that, was when he finished his law school, quit his job, and then now we're like, oh God, now we need to.
He quit his job to join you?
To focus on this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
To focus on this.
Right.
So that was now around, I want to say that was around November. So when does KSL finish? KSL finishes in end of November. Yeah?
KSL is what?
Kenya School of Law.
Okay.
We got the exam.
Okay.
So they finished, I think, end of November, early December. So that was end of November, early December 2015.
Okay.
So that's when now, that's why I say like there was a bit of stuff that happened before we went live with the business.
Right.
And mind you, at this point, we already had a customer.
Right.
A partner.
Right.
So it just so happened that we didn't know who this guy was, right? But we were just friends. It was just like, come here, buy the phone, give him, it doesn't matter, you can sit here if you want to. He has nice lounges in his shops.
This is cool.
You can sit here. Yeah, so that's how it started, man. And then after that, now, the turn of the year is when now 2016 is there, and now we started realizing that this guy doesn't have a job anymore. So that money he's bringing in, it's not how it's dried, right? Our parents are not giving us anything around money for that. And like I'd stopped focusing on the security business, so that was also tanking, right? So then now, because like now you're running out of cash. Right. So then that's when we started. That's now when we started realizing like now we really need to get serious and conceptualize this thing,
Okay. Yeah. So this is interesting because, I mean, most people, right? Okay, you had a side hustle, so that makes sense. But your co-founder, I would call it, or business partner, quit before you guys, well, you had something, but it wasn't like something most people quit their things for.
Yeah. It's one of those risky like quits, like why would you quit for that, right?
People in our market don't do that.
People don't do that, and even when it's crazy, but I think the biggest challenge is waiting too long. Yeah. Okay. So remember, this guy quit before he was anywhere near comfortable. Right. There was nothing you have to lose at that point.
At all.
Yeah, at all. Like he has
straight out of campus, pretty much.
In fact, he's lucky he had a job.
You should be having a job.
Exactly. You shouldn't even be having a job. Right? You have still your classmates. Are jobless, pretty much, right?
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to be doing. Now you're supposed to be running around looking for an internship or something like that.
Exactly.
But no, you don't. You had a job. So for him, I really just think like people should, if you know you're going to quit, just quit early and just quit early. Focus on it, because I think that's what happened with him. Okay. And it makes sense. But now you see what happens is like, let's say you add 10 years to that. We were 22. Now let's say it's 32.
Ain't happening.
You've been making money for 5-7 years. You have a salary, you have overheads, you have a kid, you have a girlfriend, wife, or what?
Game over.
Then now you're going to stop that. Maybe you don't have much savings.
Right.
On that, and even if you're going to drain all your savings
to take a chance on something,
it gets. I just think it gets realistically harder, like with time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I can't imagine if now I'd been working for all these years. Let's say since I started, I've been working and I have cash. And then I just say,
kill that.
Hey, that's tough.
That's really hard.
Yeah, that's
really,
the mental. And that's what you did, right?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately for me, I kind of have a couple of back doors, right? So first of all, I have that American passport. Yeah. When I got that thing, I got to tell you, something changed. I remember the day in 2017 when I actually had it in my hand. And it was just like, dude, I'm free. Something happened in my mind.
Yeah.
Because before that, there's no way I was going to pull any kind of move.
Yeah.
But it started to kind of, that thing is a game changer in a very real sense. Because now you can actually approach something and say, I can take a calculated risk.
Yeah.
And actually, because I can have a fallback in a sense, right?
Okay.
which I don't really consider it a fallback, but it's a psychological
cushion.
It's a mental cushion. And then I had, some savings. So I was like, yo, man, I could take this risk and then see what happens. But still, I had 2 girls, 11 and 12.
I met them.
And that's still a significant cost. But when you have a partner, my ex-wife, we kind of work together on that, which has been helpful.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's anyway. Back to your story. So you guys decide to all dive head first, feet first, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So this is 2015.
This is now towards end of. So let's say to now we're starting 2016.
Right.
This is like starting in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was that? Because you guys have actually grown really fast, right?
Yeah.
This is 2019 now, so we're 3 years ostensibly into the life cycle of your business.
3 years is fair.
If you could just kind of summarize, and I don't know if you can, but tell us what that story is, in a kind of sequenced way, like what happened next, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, in summary, so we still have a long way to go, of course, but we started at that point now, we started realizing that we're going to have to get cash to lend. Yeah. Because, one of us, we got our first, call it, employee, but that's the wrong word at this point. She's pretty much our partner now. But, so she started, she's very good at just onboarding anybody, partners, on selling. So she just started, she said, okay, I'm just gonna, I think for me, what she can do is she's just gonna go around bringing in clients.
Building the network of retailers.
Yeah, at the time it was just phones. We just wanted to sell phones.
Okay.
So she just went around, I remember we used to go on this in Tower with her, going door to door. She's just onboarding retailers. And then remember, once someone hears that I can tell someone to pay something in installments, they'll just start sending people your way.
Right.
So people started sending guys our way, and then we didn't have the cash, right? Let's put the cash even aside. We didn't even have the infrastructure. We didn't have anything. As I told you, we were still using a loan application form that I downloaded on the internet, right?
Wow. Even in this now,
even in this phase,
format,
even in this phase, and then then we're like, okay, how are we actually going to check if someone doesn't pay us? But at that point, we weren't even thinking about if someone was going to pay us back or not, right? So that was then. So now at that point, we had to kind of figure out okay, what is this business? Right? So we had to draw out this business and realize that there's the different arms of the business. And we started building this thing out, slowly building it out. And then, this is all on paper, no tech, nothing, just because, all that stuff. And then I remember, we went around going to our friends and saying, dude, we need some cash for this business that we're starting. Right? And it was any cash you have, we're going to give you back this amount, this period of time. That's how it started. So our friends would and that's how you find yourself. Friends can also be very supportive. You just need to ask. It's crazy, right? Because these are friends who don't have cash. They've just gotten their first job. They don't have money. Right?
Your network was pretty
Yeah, it's like kids, right? Yeah. So giving you 20K, 30K, like that, and they're just trusting you to pay it back.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it started. Then now we asked one of our friends as well, and she gave us some of our money. And she was like, "Oh, actually, my dad is looking to invest, right? And in companies, he just wants to invest. I guess he has made some money, wants to invest."
Right.
We met her dad on a Tuesday. He asked me how much do you guys need? And he gave him the number that I thought was big.
I love this.
The biggest number I could think of.
Your mind could
think of. I'm like, what's? And then it's we need 2 million. We need 2 million. 2 million shillings. So he's like, okay, blah, 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 whatever. And then he gave us a check the next day.
Okay.
For the cash. And that's
Were you shocked? How
I was like, no, dude, I've never experienced anything like that. I didn't even know what 2 million looks like. Right? Because, my business, my security business was just generating. I'd never seen, and it was cash people used to pay me.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not I'd never seen such a formal thing. Right? 2 million. It's contracts. Where's the contract? I'm like, contract, what is that? Luckily, our lawyer, my co-founder's a lawyer.
Okay.
Right? So, we then drafted up some stuff, and then we got started. So then now we had 2 million to play with.
Okay.
Right? So then now we got okay, fine, let's stabilize.
Listen. Yeah. This is completely most local founders are when they're listening to this, they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" What was it that made this dad write you a check in 24 hours? What do you think it was?
There's a mix of things, man. One is straight up luck. that we spoke to this lady and at that right time, right? When her dad was just literally trying to make investments. Yeah? That's straight up luck. Second is that I think with this guy, like, I think he just saw like hustlers, right? He's an entrepreneur like us, right? So like,
so kindred spirit.
Exactly. And I think that's what he saw. And he was like, look, his daughter trusts us, right? For him, it's like they seem like trustworthy guy. And if I lose 2 million, okay.
I gave it a shot.
Exactly. I think that's what it was like. Right. But then he's just like, he's a businessman, entrepreneur, and he understands how business works.
Right.
So he knows, like, look, we can, like, if this thing starts off properly, like, we can make money. We can make something.
Plus, the business plan was actually, you had traction.
We had some form of traction.
Right.
Some form of traction, right? Like, I want to say, I'm saying some form of because it wasn't formalized, right?
Meaning that you had business coming through.
We had business coming, yes. We did.
Formalized or not?
Yes,
there was market pull.
There was. Okay. And we had, we didn't have financials, but we could say we have revenue.
That's a really angel investment, if I ever heard one. Right?
Yeah.
That's amazing for our that's dope. I like
and we need like 100 more people, thousands more people like that, 100,000 more people like that. Because anyway, so it's so crazy. And that's why I always say, like, this guy, like, I've never seen anything like that. Like, he made a bet like that. The next day, I remember that was around April. And then he said, like, if you guys can figure out things between now and August, come back in August. And then between now and August, we now formalize the business. I remember this guy invested without our entity. There was no actual entity. No. He wrote the check to my name.
That's
There's no entity.
Wow.
So we set up the
that
entity.
cosign from the daughter must have been...
So yeah, we set up the entity. Then now we actually, like, try to now engage, like, get actual traction, like, created a name, right? Like, in the market, stuff like that. And then we started approaching now officially, like, the brands, because now, for me, because the good thing about being young and naive is that you just want to go to the top.
You just do stuff.
Exactly. So I'm like, which is the biggest phone here? Samsung.
Let's
right?
get to it.
I want to get to Samsung. So then we spoke, like, this lady that I was telling you about. So she was like, okay, I'm fine, cool. Let's find Samsung. Somehow she happens to meet, like, the head of Samsung, the CMO from Korea, happened to be in Kenya, walking around the shop, that same shop.
Are you serious?
So then they chat, blah, blah, blah. Next thing we know, he has connected us to the top at Samsung. No, I even forgot his name. It was a Korean name. And then now basically we got into the room with the right people. And then they're like, fine, let's do this. And then they gave us paperwork, signed it, and we had a contract in front of us, right, from Samsung. So we went back.
You're one lucky son of a gun. I don't know. But it's also not luck, man. I mean, it's just, you're putting yourself out there, dude.
Yeah. Like with that, because
making your own luck. Because if you are not doing this, luck don't happen.
It doesn't find you, right? And I remember this. It just found us because we needed a place to sit, right? So we were sitting in this guy's shop.
Right.
So when they were doing their tours, they found us.
Wow.
And you can tell that these are the bosses walking around. Like, you can tell. So we just, like, just spoke to them. She got that in, and then at that point
was this between or after? Is it before? This is after the 20K.
It's after 20K.
$20,000.
Yeah, it's after 20K.
And before the next meeting with the guy.
Before the next session.
What a beautiful story to tell.
So that was between April and August. So the next time when we went in August, he added another 20.
Wow.
Right now, and then now actually added 30. I just remember. Actually, he added now 30, and it's like, now let's get to it.
So it's interesting that you even mentioned this, the fact that this guy's an entrepreneur, right? Because in our world, I mean, we're a non-profit and we're funded philanthropically and grant capital. Our most active support base is entrepreneurs, right? Even just last week, we got a donation from the CEO of Odyssey.
Yeah.
Pure email, one phone call. We stayed in touch, and that's what this is. I mean, this Silicon Valley is about that. It's about people betting on people.
Yeah.
And I knew, so we are going after that market in terms of people who've actually built companies and exited, been through what you've gone through. They just have a different view of what's possible and what's legit and what's not. They have a nose for this thing, and they have this empathy for hustlers, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And so last week Michael made a consideration to us, which is now I'm kind of relating back to this idea, this your experience with this entrepreneur.
And the craziest thing is that I feel like that's what our ecosystem needs a lot more of, like entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs.
Totally.
That's what we need, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs at a certain point, like they just forget what experience. Like you just forget what happened, and then
I struggle with that, man. Like I feel like, dude, do you think you will forget?
I don't think I'll forget. I
hope you don't.
Yeah, I don't think I'll forget. I'm pretty sure I won't forget, right? Mm-hmm. But so maybe forget is the wrong word, or maybe they just don't want to relate. They don't see the opportunity to kind of, because entrepreneurs may not give back per se, right? They may want to invest, something like that, right? But it's like,
but he wasn't giving back. He was investing, though. He wasn't giving you this money.
Absolutely, but think about it this way: like, there's so many examples I can give as to why that was a shitty investment.
That was like
there's so many things I can say,
right?
That you could have done instead, instead of that, right?
You're right. It is opportunity cost, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes that a shitty investment on the face of it.
At that time, especially.
Right. Yeah. Because the options somebody has for $20,000 in Kenya, $20,000, right?
Significant. You can do something with that, right? And I don't know. So I feel like I think it's a matter of forget, because I've spoken to, moving on from that, we raised a lot of money from a lot of locals. Right?
Okay. How much total have you raised local? Just total numbers.
Upwards of $5 million. Upwards.
Holy cow! Yeah. Seriously?
Yeah, upwards. I won't give the exact number, but yeah.
So
it's upwards of $5 million locally. I've not talked about international investors. So
this is equity money or debt money?
Both.
Okay. Yeah. Debt money is relatively easier, I would imagine, because people understand debt process.
Yeah. They understand it better. Yeah.
They understand it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you structured your fundraising around debt. Is that what you did?
It was a mix of the two.
Okay.
Debt, convertibles, equity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We structured, like, we have to also remember, like, at that point you structure things as what people want. Yeah. So, like, someone wants a structure like in this format, you don't really have much of a say, right? Because you need the money tomorrow. So you want the format like this, fine. As long as like, we need time to do X, Y, Z and make the money back.
But your business lended itself to that type of funding structure.
Yeah, it's easier for our business because it's an easy story to tell, in the sense of, like, look, we buy this phone at 100,000. This guy is going to pay it back for 12 months. So after 12 months, we're going to give you back. Yeah. So it's
easy.
It's an easier instrument for our business.
For your business to absorb, and to make work.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it's very tough. But, like, my point was, like, having a lot of conversations with a lot of wealthy local individuals.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, like, it's almost like, it's like most people just not even see the need to do this, right? The money is so small, right? Why are you asking me for $1 million shillings? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you asking me as
a loan?
Are you asking me to give you $1 million shillings? Like, what is $1 million shillings, right? Like, I thought I invest 50 million, I invest 70, 100 million. I'm building apartments. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's almost we're telling them something that they can't even relate to.
Interesting.
Okay, so, like, I remember one comment that this guy made. Very wealthy lawyer in the country. He goes, like, we're asking for, I think he asked him for 2 million, something like
2 million shillings.
Yeah, so like 20K.
20K, yeah.
Then he looked at our revenues and he's like, but if this is the revenue for the whole company, how little money am I going to make off this? Right? Like, he doesn't see it.
Right.
He doesn't see it. I think at the time, like, our revenues were, like, below $100,000, right? So for some
year,
per annum, yeah.
Okay.
So this guy was like, dude, $100,000 is the whole company revenue? How much am I going to make? There's nothing here for me. It's too small.
So he walked away from
it. Yeah. So you can imagine that's how like people would think, right? Like, what is this guy asking me? It's like when you're driving and a street kid comes, you'll give money out of pity, right? It's not like, it will be like, oh, today I feel bad, let me give. Right? Most of the time, you just turn up the window, and you're just going to sit there because it's like, I don't even want to discuss this. I don't want to deal with this. Like that's kind of what I feel like. Yeah, so I feel like in our ecosystem, there's a lot of begging.
Interesting. So it's not a business conversation.
It's a begging,
right?
Especially in the beginning.
Right.
It's you're begging for cash. That's what it is. Wow. So they don't understand the opportunity really. I wouldn't say all of them. That would be unfair to say.
Right.
But I would say a lot of the people, it's just you have to be the best beggar.
You have to be the best.
That's true, man.
That's hilarious. So let me ask you this: what age group are we talking about? Is this the wazers? What's if you look at who you've talked to, and then maybe a subset of that who gave you money? Can you characterize the demographics?
Demographics, I mean, like women are a lot easier to deal with.
Women are dope. Yeah,
women are a lot easier to deal with. Like
they're more up. Are they more? Why?
I think you're just about to say it. I think they're definitely a lot more empathetic, but that's why I said professional beggar, right? Because women are softer and they can see things in the future better, more clearer than a lot of men can. Men are too focused on their own lives, right?
Interesting.
So I found that a lot of guys would just want to invest in themselves, So, but
that's an interesting because I always try and think about the psychographics of human beings and what drives our decision making and so on and so forth. Male, female, age, all this other stuff. And this is interesting. You say that women can see the future better. I mean, okay, so men are short-termist in a sense.
Yeah, and remember, like a man is very focused on what is going on in his life.
Right.
Okay. Like what is happening here that I can hold and be a part of myself because it's my life, right?
Okay.
So they want to invest in themselves. That's what I've noticed. Like men want to invest in themselves.
Okay.
So
men are selfish, basically.
They're basically selfish.
That's what we're saying.
Pretty much. Yeah. When I say it that way.
Right.
Not all of them, of course, but yes. Then you'd find like with women, especially women who are financially savvy, right, or know that they should be financially savvy. They may not be, but they're they're a lot more willing to listen, engage. Even if they say no, you're being engaged.
Right. It's a conversation.
Exactly. It's not. They're not making you feel like you're begging for cash.
Right.
Just like they can engage you. Maybe they don't believe in the opportunity, or they don't have the cash. Right. It's typically either or. Right. But for a man, it's like I'm not doing it.
No reason. Because it's not me doing
it.
Like, so hilarious. Man, you know what? This is interesting because one of our thesis is, we're building these what I would call them vifarangas or early stage startups. That's what we do. We're a startup studio. So what happens when these things emerge out of the studio, because the folks who are building product and getting that traction are basically college grads like you guys, right? Typical, you're an archetype of what we are targeting. But you went to Babson, so maybe you had exposure and so on and so forth. A lot of our people may not have that kind of level of, I don't know, that thing makes a difference, right? Yeah. And then it's very interesting because at the same time, I'm challenged by you guys, right? But your friend went to school here.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So he did have...
He went to McKinney, Strathmore, together, then he went to University of Nairobi.
So there's this theory that exposure is a game changer in terms of your mindset, in terms of what you think is possible, in terms of what you think is, how a business should look like. Yeah. Because you've seen all those big businesses of your college friends, parents, right? So what scale looks like, right? I'm challenged by this notion that, I guess if you are not part of this business, do you think your friend would have approached it the same way? Or, you know what I mean? What did the exposure do for you, if anything at all? Or did it not?
Yeah. Yes. No, I mean, I think also a lot of things have changed, right? Since it's crazy how much can change in 3-4 years. Yeah? Okay. But absolutely, there's definitely a lot that I think that it's a mindset. Huh? What exposure changes is a mindset. Yeah. I don't think you need to be. I don't think going abroad makes you more educated. No. I don't think it does that.
But education, maybe broadly speaking, in terms of how the world
operates and things like that, absolutely. Right. But I think the most important thing is the mindset. Yeah. Right. So for me, what that type of exposure did for me is it created a mindset. I can do it mindset.
Got it.
Right. So it's like it's a mindset that, look, yeah, I have nothing now, but just give me 10
some
years.
time.
I'm coming. Exactly, right? It's that mindset, right? And that is something that is lacking in our environment locally. Yeah.
Let's talk about this. So people don't believe they can do things.
Big things.
Yeah?
So like, can I, as I said, as I said when I was struggling to what university to go to.
Right.
Yeah, it's because you're told what you can do. Okay.
You're told what you can't do.
What you can. What
can do.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you'll be told that you can be an engineer, you can be a banker, and your goal is to rise to this level, right? Don't even talk about CEO, right? Just this level.
Middle
management, nice salary. You're going to have a car and you're going to live on the road.
Right. Okay. And then do some side hustles, maybe something.
Exactly. You can open up a butchery. You can open and so you're told what you can do.
Yeah.
Right. And everything that you're not told that you can't do, then it means you can't do it. It's that simple.
Pretty much.
Right?
So the world is defined for you.
Exactly.
Straight
up
front.
Off at birth.
Right.
And then it's even worse when you go to now the schools that us guys went to, right? Because it's just following that.
It's even narrower. Engineer, doctor,
lawyer, those are the big names, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I think that I got. And I've been very pushing the system, right? Even when I was younger. But I think
seems like it because you at Strath you said, nah man, I'm not gonna do this.
Yeah.
This is not me.
That's not me.
And I wonder that's gutsy. That takes cojones to actually be able to how did you manage that process? What is it about you that, or is it your family structure? What is it that enabled you to feel like you could actually get away with it?
Family structures help, definitely, absolutely for me. But I think my family has always been very supportive of whatever stupid decision I want to make. Yeah?
Shout out to your family.
Yeah.
That's unusual also.
It is, I must say, it is, because of course they'll give me a lot of shit in the beginning, but at the end of the day they're just look, this guy is not selling drugs, he's not killing people, it's not like there's really they don't have anything to they don't, so they'll just support it, okay? They're not really able to support it financially, but they
emotionally don't put roadblocks for you. Don't make you feel guilty and crazy.
They won't tell you, have you talked to Uncle Nani? They're not going to tell me ever tell me any of that, which is fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is super important. But for me, I think I was always just interested. That's the key thing. I was just interested in seeing what more exists, right? Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest difference is when I went to the States and I saw especially in my school, when I see how people would move from the second they come up with a concept to the days that they start implementing it the next day like maniacs, that
blew your mind.
That is crazy. That was crazy. Because in Kenya, you're at the bar, you can talk with your boys about a concept. It'll never materialize.
It dies.
Because you can't do it.
You can't do it.
So
you can talk about it.
You can talk about it, but that's where it's going to end, right? Wow. So now you talk. Next thing you know, a guy has clients.
You're like, what
the hell? Man, that's crazy. So I found that and that's what that's 60% of the people I was with, right? Doers. Right? Even I remember when we started Beaver Delivery, it was a matter of I'm hungry now. There's no food. All I have is donuts in the fridge from yesterday. Let's sell these things. The next day, we built a Facebook page. There's small things like that.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to these things. So I think that was the difference, right? So I think absolutely is an element of that, that mindset. But I think we can, as locals here, what we can also do is just look for this information and look for stuff like this podcast. There's so many other pieces of information that can open up our mind and readings and things that can allow us to start thinking like that.
No, dude, I love what you're talking about because this is exactly what I preach to the team every day. And anybody and most people who we talk about this all the time. I mean, there's amazing people in the ecosystem like yourself. Kane. We have networks of people. You're starting to see that this thing is actually becoming. We're developing a critical mass, and there are people who are doing amazing things. Wow! I mean, and this is really cool. So, talk a little bit now about your bit. So we've talked about you got your first 20K, and then you met the guys at Samsung, and then now you've got your next money, and then it starts to roll. So where are you guys right now in terms of what the business is and where it's going?
Yeah, so where we are now we're at the point where, as I mentioned, now we look at ourselves as essentially we're essentially enhancing retail, and we consider ourselves now a payment option, and we want to make sure we're able to finance everything from a phone to a home. Yeah, and now we're at the point where we've definitely found product market fit. We have an overwhelming number of customers now, and it's now about actually just building like the back engines, of our business to scale it up to the next level.
And so how do you measure your business? Is it per loan, per client, revenue? Give us a sense of your scope.
I stay away from using the word loan because we don't give loans, we give payment plans.
You give payment plans.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
So
even better.
how we measure it is how many customers we're serving. How many existing customers we have.
Okay, your book of business.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We have about 200,000 customers.
You have 200,000 customers?
About 200,000 customers.
What's the average, how do you call it? What's the average contract value, I guess?
Yeah, like the ranges is very because we also do high-end furniture as well.
Okay.
But for different subsets, different. Maybe you could say it's about $400.
$400.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can do the multiple of that. And
you can do the math of that, right? But it's about that, give or take, right?
This is a healthy business.
Yeah.
So you have 200. Did you say 200,000?
200,000.
And what's the geographical layout of those?
And then we have all over Kenya now. Thank God. And
why do you say that?
It's tough, man. It's tough dealing even inside Kenya. Moving around Kenya is not easy.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're now all over Kenya, so we can supply all over Kenya. And you see, I'm going to use the word supply, because that's where I feel like we're in retail. We're enabling a sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in Rwanda now as well, where we should be looking at new markets.
How getting into Rwanda is not easy?
It's not easy.
What was that experience like?
Rwanda, it's still small, very small, but the people are willing, and the government is very willing to help.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So they're open.
They're open.
Okay. So it's not hard.
It's a no. Entering legally is not hard. If you want to do it the right way, entering legally is not hard. You get your stuff done very quickly.
Okay.
But Kenyan culture is significantly different from Rwandese culture, right?
In what senses? Maybe if you
we're a lot more aggressive. We understand things faster, right?
Interesting.
So we understand things. Well, I don't want to say the word that was smarter, but it's different.
You want to say that word?
It's different.
You just said the word.
But yeah, it's definitely different, man. So and then they're not as tech savvy as we are, things like that.
So it's almost like molasses space. Like there's glue in there.
And you need to kind of so we're still chewing at it, right?
So I'm half Rwandese, but I'm Kenyan. I was born and raised in this, but I've got background there, but so I can kind of maybe even talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm from, Anyway, so difficult culturally speaking.
Yes.
To move.
Culturally speaking, correct.
Okay.
But it's a much smaller market.
It's much smaller.
So now
why did you pick Rwanda? Why Rwanda as the next?
We picked it precisely because it's small. So we can try, test it, and fail very quickly if we need to, and fix what we need to. Because we don't want to make mistakes on a big scale.
Okay.
Right? So we looked at the markets and we said we learn a lot by just doing it in this market.
Right.
We have all the partners there that are relevant to help us push our products. So we felt like, let's start small. It will never be anywhere near, even the revenue will generate, will be nothing near what we're generating in Nairobi alone. Yeah? But
interesting.
But it's a good testing ground for us.
Yeah, it's a lab. Yeah? It's like a lab for expansion internationally.
Exactly. So it's and it's also a good story to tell. So it helps with our story. It helps with our learnings. It helps our team get exposure to international markets. So then after that, now our next step is to scale into different markets, which we're definitely doing now.
What is the next market you're going into?
Well, our mission here our goal is to cover East Africa by end of next year.
Okay. Tanzania, Uganda.
And maybe Burundi, depending on how things go.
Okay.
And then we also have ambitions for Zambia.
Okay.
After that.
Okay.
So.
Right. And then so this is more about your retail partner play?
Correct. And also, but remember that they come together. So we have two customers. We have one of our customers is the consumer, the guy who actually makes the purchase.
Right.
And then the retailer.
Okay.
Yeah. So It's a mix of the two. So they're sorry, not a mix. They are both integral.
Right. And then on top of that, you said even mortgage, right? So you lay on top of that other...
Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
So you have horizontal play with your core, which is your retail kind of...
Yes,
I guess.
Yeah.
And then you build on
Build
top.
it. Yeah.
So this is a long-term...
Long-term game. It's a
Okay.
very long-term game.
Okay, where do you see this becoming? What do you think this is becoming?
We're building
What is
a Pan-African business, and Pan-African doesn't mean that it's not international out of Africa. Okay, so I say that very specifically because as Africans, we will probably look at building. We first think in our country. Like so many Kenyans don't even want to move outside Kenya to build business. Like they just want to build it here. So I think like first Pan-African, and if there is an opportunity, there's no reason why we cannot build a global business, right? So there's no reason why that thing should stop us from generating revenue in Philippines, Malaysia, right? Switzerland, if the opportunities present themselves. So that's our mission. But our first goal, so in terms of if we break that down, it's regional first, Pan-African second, and then global third.
Awesome, I love it. All right, so as we round up here, man, just kind of like some takeaways that folks listening to this can absorb. What are some of your biggest risks? Just as an entrepreneur, I'm talking this at the highest level. Everything from, things that you can't predict. Things like maybe business partner issues that can come up. What are some of the risks that you think you face as an entrepreneur?
I think everybody's risks are different, of course. Like for me, it's the biggest risk for me is the risk of, it doesn't sound complicated, but the risk of disappointing people is my biggest risk.
That's your biggest fear.
Fear, I guess. Right? And it's also a risk, I guess.
Right.
Because you see, you that's one of the biggest
And
risks.
how do you categorize people? Because there's different stakeholders.
So, it's everybody now. It's all the stakeholders. It's our investors, it's our partners, it's our employees. I'm also a stakeholder. Right? So that's one of the, that's a very mental, emotional, risk that could be on me as the leader. Right?
So you feel this is very interesting right now, right? Because you've moved from survival or lifestyle to what you would call it, maybe even impact or something else beyond yourself. This transcends you now.
Absolutely, it's not about a matter of we have lives, we have lives that we sustain.
Of course,
there's a lot of things that are on the table now. It's not just about I can't wake up tomorrow and
say I'm tired of doing this.
Done, man. I can't say that. There's a lot of things there. So that's one of my big. So the biggest risk is that what could that do to me, right? As the leader of this
organization.
This organization, what we're building. That's one. And I think that is typically not said, right? But it's a huge one, right? It's huge. If something happens, how many lives are affected?
It's only at the top, right?
Yeah, there's many lives are going to be affected. So that's one. And other than that, another big risk that I think a lot of companies in my position may face is not growing fast enough, right? I know that's very controversial.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be controversial depending on who you're talking to.
Fair.
But a startup equals growth.
Yeah.
Right? That dude Paul Graham wrote about that, and it's speed of execution. So why do you think it's controversial?
It's controversial because a lot of people say that there's a risk in going too fast, which there is, right? But people say that you should, and I've heard this from especially a lot of local entrepreneurs here. Just go slowly, pole, stuff like that. There's no need of pushing so hard. I think that's a big risk that you face.
Not pushing
too hard, right? Not really the word in the valley is the blitzscaling. Right?
Exactly.
You're not doing that. I think that's a big risk. Yeah, and I think that we're not doing it enough. Yeah. So we're not there yet. We need maybe in 2 years. I hope I'll have a different statement comment on that. Right. But I think that's the biggest risk. It's a massive risk of not moving fast enough.
Right.
Because all the work you'd have done for all that time you're moving slowly will be wiped away in 3 months.
That's true.
Yeah. You can have moved slowly for 4 years, just building slowly.
And all of a sudden, competitor,
finishes you in 2
change of
months.
conditions.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly. Change of government finished. There's so many things that could happen if you just move too slowly.
Right. But if you move fast, you actually cover more ground potentially, right? Like you have more. I mean, you get farther faster. Right. Plus, I think there's something about moving fast that, you learn faster and you get farther ahead, right, than your competition.
Absolutely. You get better at things faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Lessons learned or any tips that you'd give to folks who are thinking about getting into the entrepreneurship game or who are in it already? What are the things that you think you tell a local founder, right? What coaching tips would you tell them? That mindset thing, maybe. How should they? What are some of the things? Anything you think?
Especially I'll direct it mainly at local founders. I think there's a very big difference between local founders and international founders.
Totally.
I don't think we go through the same things.
Right.
For a local founder, I think what my quick one would just be, I think we need to focus on not what is going wrong, but on what we can do to make the next step better, right?
Okay.
So what I mean by that is that when we all start our businesses, so many things that are going wrong or not even going, right? They're not even going. But the way I look at it, it's I would always advise people to look at if there's 5 things that we need to do, and even if the 5th one depends on number 1, we can make some progress on number 4 and 5 as we struggle with number 1. Right? There's something that can be done, and I think that's what I would encourage people.
So it's a glass half full. What is that? How do you define that thinking? Is it a worrisome? What is the thing?
It's inevitable to be worried,
right?
And it's also naive to think that we can convince ourselves to be positive.
Right. That's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. We're the leaders of the organization. All the stress is on us, whether you like it or not. Right. That's and we all go through our things like that. But I'm saying if we are saying step 1 is super difficult, but step 2, 3, and 4 and 5, and you're not going to do anything step 2, 3, 4, and 5 until you're done with number 1, then you're going to fail.
Got it.
Right. So I'm saying let's look at the rest. Let's see what can be done there.
Just do something. Keep moving forward.
Keep moving. Exactly. That's the one. Right. Let's keep moving forward.
Okay.
Don't stop here and say too hard.
Deer in the headlights.
Exactly. Let's keep going.
Right.
Let's work on the other things. And this thing for as locals, the first thing we always do is look for cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. We start looking for money. Then we get what?
Rejected.
We get disappointed. Oh, it's not working. Oh, white guys are getting cash. I'm not getting cash.
Yeah.
That nonsense. We just need to
kill it.
We just need to kill. There's so many things that we can do. And not all businesses are driven by cash.
Right.
Some people's business, your business can be driven by just shared goods.
Right. But it's you're right. But 2 things can be true at the same time. And one of the things Silicon Valley is dealing with right now is this diversity and inclusion thing. You've heard it on the Masters of Scale. We talk about it a lot, right?
Yeah.
And structurally speaking, it's a fact that it's easier for them to raise money, expert founders, right? And there's a study that's been done all over the place and saying these guys it's easier for them to get grant funding, twice as easy. I mean, it's just a fact. But at the end of the day, what are we going to do? That's the question, right?
True.
We can talk, but we got to be moving. But it doesn't mean that, because when you don't talk about stuff, people stop being even careful or even stop being paying attention or stop being trying to change, right? So you got to talk and highlight it, but that is not where it should stop. Because at the end of the day, you got to shine a light where there's some stuff not working. Because people continue doing the same thing. But I completely agree with you. You've got to stay on the execution.
Yep. And
you got to stay on this problem-solving side at the end of the day.
And I think just to close on that, because I think it is very controversial, the whole, expat founders, whatever, generating more capital and stuff, and the numbers that you just said. Yeah. However, as I said, those are facts. As you've said, those are facts.
That's a reality.
That's a reality. So are we going to sit here and cry?
No.
What are we going to do? Exactly. So we can bring it to people's attention, and I think it should be brought to people's attention 100%. But at the same time, you can't just sit on your ass and say
and be complaining.
I'm not doing this, blah blah blah, right? Because there are some people who I'm sure there's some hedge fund in the US that's investing in China and they can't speak the same language, right? And the same thing here. So I know like a lot of the challenges is that we face as locals is that the money is not our money, right? So you're telling the story to a foreigner,
right?
So you don't know how to tell that story. You don't know how to do that. So fine, learn how to tell that story.
Yeah.
Get good at it, right?
Get done.
Exactly. And like I've learned a lot.
So you actually raised. I remember last time we spoke. You raised money in Silicon Valley, right?
From the States. I wouldn't say from the Valley.
Okay, so from the States.
Yeah.
Okay, and you actually went out there, told the story, and got commitment.
And brought in the money, and we'll announce things very soon. But like we're brought in the money,
right?
But it's been painstaking,
right?
But looking at it in hindsight now. The reason that it was hard is because I had a different mindset. And this is me who went to school in the States.
Wait a minute. It was hard because you had a different mindset? What do you mean?
I was the way these guys wanted things packaged was not the way I packaged it. Okay.
So there's some lessons to be learned.
There's a lot of lessons to be learned.
Okay.
And like afterwards, after the whole process is done, like I'll be glad to sit down with the investor, like our investors who have seen me grow through that journey. Right? It's like, look. And we have to just keep on, like, look, you didn't like this. What about if we did it this way? What about that? Or, you didn't like that. There's so many things. But when I look at it, I would say, like, there was just so much things I could have done better to have finished it faster, Now, that's on the other side of me saying, let's move forward. But parallel to that, it's like, yes, there is a problem. Yeah, there is a problem in the ecosystem like that. And that's mainly because it's not our money. Right? It's not even the investors' money. They say with that regard anyway. But on the same side, they're not asking you to build a borehole. They're not asking you to run in the sky. They don't walk on water. They're not asking you that, right? But
communicate effectively.
Exactly.
Bring a value proposition that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Put together something I can get excited about, or I can believe in, or at least meet me halfway, right?
So let's work on that.
Right.
As local founders, and let's not go into conversations saying that I'm not going to get the money because my name is not Smith. I think we have to remember that if we keep pushing that rhetoric, we're the ones who suffer.
We're the ones who suffer.
Yeah.
We're the ones who suffer. Hey, listen, man. I can't wait to have you for part 2, right? Maybe a year from now or whatever. But you have so much. I think you basically are emblematic of the possibilities that are here. Somebody because Jesus Christ, you started your business right out of college, ostensibly, right?
Yeah.
And look what you have accomplished. You've raised money locally, $5M, which is how much? 500 million Kenyan shillings. And then you've raised money internationally, north of way more than that, right? Mm-hmm. And dude, you're not even 30 yet, right?
Yeah.
By the way, don't get on the 30 under 30 bandwagon thing, because that's how people lose their shit. Let me tell you the truth. Let me just put it out here. Every single person you see who gets on those things,
they go bad.
All of a sudden, man, they're celebrities.
Yeah.
And they forget, wait a minute, man.
There's work to be done.
This is Earth, and that's just a magazine, bro.
No, I hear you.
You feel me? So don't get lost over there, please.
Yeah,
I think you're precious.
It's a big risk.
The limelight is a son of a gun.
Yeah.
But anyway, any final parting shots you wanna say? Okay, let me ask you this: Where do you think we're going? Vision 2030. What do you see? Number one, your company, but also most importantly, our ecosystem. What's possible?
Yeah, I think our ecosystem is. I'll speak about the ecosystem because I think our ecosystem is growing. And in 2030, we will have a lot more people who have been through the entire cycle. Okay, and that's what a lot of us are missing. In we don't have very many people that have been through the entire cycle. Like now we can count them on our fingers. Right. Like there's Ken, who's like one of my mentors as well. But there are very few we can count. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and they're doing their part to push the ecosystem, but there needs to be 100 more people like that, right? So I think in 2030, there's going to be a lot more people. Our environment is going to be a lot more welcoming to founders, right? Who are willing to start something that makes sense.
Because there'll be examples of
examples. There'll be stories that have been told. I think it's only a matter of time before we start having our own local funds, right? Like coming on board, not run by a local. I mean, the capital is local. Right?
The capital is low.
The capital is low.
That's going to happen,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that's going to happen soon.
Right. And that's one of our goals. Right?
Exactly. And you need to do that, because then now, once you have so many locals backing you, right? Things change, right? Things change a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going in 2030. I think that's where our ecosystem.
You think we'll be able to have, and I hate to use this word, but it's kind of been defined. You think we'll be able to have a unicorn by 2030 from this ecosystem?
By 2030, 100% from the East African, Kenyan ecosystem.
Yeah.
100%. I even think 2030 might be 4.
Okay.
Right. I think 2030.
You gunning for that?
I think
Let's do it.
we're in the race. I think we're gonna be there. I don't want to preempt anything, but like I think there's gonna be a couple. I think it's not going to be one, like 2, 3, 4. Like I think there are people building
interesting things,
crazy businesses.
Sure, man.
Like, and then when you, and $1 billion is not that much.
No,
like,
it's not.
we'll get there.
At least from a valuation standpoint.
From a valuation standpoint, you'll get there.
You get there.
Yeah.
You get there. Because at the end of the day, it's... Yeah, anyway, look, this is so dope. And thank you so much for taking the time to come through.
Thank you for having me. This is fantastic.
We'll definitely have you back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cheers.